Welcome back to the Links Golf Club podcast, everyone. A weekly conversation show about our wonderful club and the world of golf. This week, Andrew Novak redeemed himself. We debate whether Gorilla could beat 100 humans at golf, and we check in on our goals to hold ourselves accountable. And I got a feeling that some of us are off track. Hand up myself. Let's get into that and a few other things along the way. I am Gregory, joined as always by Cooper and Chris. Gentlemen, how are we feeling today?
Feeling good. It's, sun is shining, flowers are blooming, golf is being played. It's hard to be too down when all of those three things are true.
It's true. It's better than Prozac.
It's going well. Yeah. The handicaps dropping. We've got regional groups popping up. Golfers are playing golf together. Best time of the year. We're going up. I was stoked about March. April's been even better.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is the apex mountain of the year for sure. We've already talked about this. We've just gotten through a bunch of awesome golf stuff, a lot of awesome NFL draft stuff. Obviously the it's great. And then baseball season's in full swing. It's warm outside. I want to have class outside. I might request from Chris if I can start working outside. We'll see how that goes. I'll let y'all know. But yeah, let's just dive into this. Pretty full week. Before we do though, any plugs, any announcements, what should the people know?
Yeah, so let's maybe talk events real quick before we get started. So we mentioned last night for the first time, we have added another signature event to the schedule, Lake Merced in San Francisco. Great course, get a lot of press, a lot of great pics taken of it after its recent Gilhan's renovation. Looks absolutely mint, looks amazing. I have a couple friends that played it last year and had nothing but good things to say. So that is officially added to the schedule for our LinksDAO signature events. It's October 22nd. So we've got a little time to plan ahead in case you want to travel in for it. We'll have more details on exactly when spots will open up, when you can purchase a spot and all of that coming out later. It is not live yet. We'll give everyone plenty of advance notice. But really excited to get that added. We've been working hard to round out the schedule with some West Coast love for our West Coast members. So really excited to have that on there as well. And then I know we've got some other spots at some community-led events. Is that right, Coop?
Yeah. I was gonna let Greg go first because of the schedule, but I'm really stoked. Tomorrow you'll be seeing in the Mulligan and posted that we are moving forward with LA's regional first event of the community-led events. It's going to be at Industry Hills on May 31st. LA, shout out. So we've got two big California events coming down the pipe. If you're interested in that, we will have the link on the events page up for you soon. And if you're interested in hosting an event in your area, let us know. I know, Greg, you've got one coming up at one of my favorites here.
Yeah, Sweden's Cove. We're just riding the wave of momentum here with the local groups. We kicked them back off a couple weeks ago, and in the census especially, people are just yeah, I want to help. I want to organize an event. And the fact that we have now, two 16-person events, one happening in New York, one happening in LA, and more to come is great. And then as you mentioned, Sweetens Cove, another, could be 19-person event. Right now we have 16 people signed up. Going to meet out in the Sasquatchie Valley in East Tennessee, and we're going to play all-day golf. If you're interested, check out links.golf/events, and you can sign up for that. There are a couple spots still available, but there aren't very many, and we expect them to sell out. Just a $10 deposit. It's a community-led event. You'll pay at the course. We're not making any money off it. We just want to get together and have a good time. Cool. So yeah, let's get started first. We're going to just talk a little bit about great golfers playing great golf. The Zurich, as you all know from last week, one of my favorite tournaments of the year. I was glued to the television, whether that be YouTube TV on my phone or my actual physical television. Pretty much the whole weekend, I had that and NFL draft going simultaneously. Andrew Novak, he redeemed himself after losing in that playoff last week to Justin Thomas. It's great. Him and Ben Griffin won. He did gain 1.98 strokes in the field overall. Most of that was from around the greens. Another week, 2 in a row, where the winner actually lost off the tee to the field, which is somewhat interesting given the distance conversation. He was, though, better by pretty much every measure last week, but he lost to Justin Thomas, kind of ran to a buzzsaw there. But he did win this week with his partner Ben Griffin. So it's mostly going to be about Andrew Novak, but shout out to Ben Griffin too. He's now 4th in data golf points overall in the world. Calculations, sort of a bunch of different things, just to be able to stack rank golfers to sort of get away from the WGR industrial complex. It's a good measure just to kind of see where people are right now. He's 4th in that. He's 6th in the FedEx Cup standings. He's above Ludwig. He's above Colin Morikawa, both stalwarts in those lists. And he's 9th currently in the Ryder Cup standings, above Cantley. So top 6, obviously Ryder Cup auto qualify. 9th puts you in a conversation for kind of having to be talked about if someone's asking Keegan, who are you picking? 9th puts you in that, like, you can't be ignored. So we'll see how he goes. Super excited. He's had 4 top 10s the last 20 events, but he's also missed 7 cuts. So there's like kind of a 2-outcome player here. Guys, I know you probably watched and recorded and rewatched and seen all the highlights of the Zurich, because I know how important this event is to both of you. What were your impressions? What are your surprises? Anything that stands out from that event?
I have to admit, I did not watch the full thing or really too much of it at all.
Right.
I'm ashamed to say. I do love team golf just in general, and I like the format, although, maybe it's representative that, it wasn't enough to kind of get me watching this weekend. Just had a lot of family stuff going on. But it doesn't quite have the juice of a Ryder Cup at President's Cup with the,
Sure.
country pride and everything not on the line or whatnot. But
Yep.
Still a lot of fun. Like the change of pace. It's fun to see something different than just the same old 72-hole stroke play events. And yeah, I mean, Andrew Novak, he's at least from my perspective, I don't know about you guys, but like kind of came out of complete nowhere to be, kind of garnering all those accolades, at least currently, that you were just listing off, Greg. So, I mean, we'll see if it holds up. It's still very early, but yeah, he's kind of shot onto the scene the past couple weeks and has kind of forced himself to be part of the conversation, which is cool.
Yeah. I would love over the weekend, just like, sorry kids, daddy's watching an off-field PGA Tour event in New Orleans at a Pete Dye golf course.
Can't take you to
Your
T-ball,
thoughts
son.
are going to have to wait.
Gotta watch you golf.
I do have one question. Well, let me get your thoughts, Coop, and I have one question about what would make this the type of event that y'all want to watch. Like, obviously, the reason why I like it, it's somewhat ironic. I'm saying that I like it very much, but I love New Orleans. I love the golf course as an idea. I've never played it, and I love team events. But maybe we can talk about what would make it better. But Coop, did you pay attention at all to it over the weekend? Any thoughts?
I made a concerted effort to try. I thought TPC Louisiana showed off.
I'm totally alone in this, by the way.
I really did.
This bit.
I paid attention. I looked at the leaderboard. I tried to tune in on Saturday and was like, wait, this doesn't look right. This is a broadcast of last year's for the rain delay. It took me longer than I'd like to admit to realize that. I was like, these scores don't make sense. I thought Rory and Shane were in a different position. But that was really what I was looking for, was kind of the buddy story with those two. So on Sunday, later in the day, when it came down to deciding what to watch, that didn't win out in my household over starting The Walking Dead. But I did see the last couple of holes, watch the finish kind of while scrolling on my phone. And it was interesting. It was cool. Good to see, Novak pull it off. But the course looks great. I'd love to get down there sometime and visit.
Greg is personally offended that you
I'm disgusted
chose like
by
a 15-year-old show.
So as the head of the Zurich Classic fan committee within LinksDAO, what's one thing that you would need to see started at the Zurich to actually get you to choose it over watching a 15-year-old show that ran on AMC when I was just out of college?
Boy, I don't know. I think the hype. I mean, you had the Grand Slam winner Rory in the mix until Sunday. I think there's not much you could do really to change my mind about that. I don't know, Chris, do you have any ideas?
Yeah, I think it's a similar conversation like a lot of people were having around TGL a few months ago as well. Like, I think it all comes down to stakes. It's like the Ryder Cup, and then less so the President's Cup, but more than the Zurich Classic have stakes because of the country pride and because it has a lot of built up history, and it's really hard to replicate that And I mean that, there's, I think there's FedEx Cup points attached to the event, and, it's an official PGA Tour event and all that, but it's hard to get too hyped up for it, at least personally, when it doesn't have some of that bigger stuff on the line. And I think most of the players even, consider it an exhibition, right? So it's tough to say what you change to make it that way. I think you kind of have to build up some history, or like have some duels develop, kind of two pairs that, play it every year and go up against some other, pairs every year, and develop a little rivalry or something. I mean, the other big thing is a lot of the top name players aren't playing in it, right? But obviously,
field is bad.
Yeah, it brings down the volume a few notches.
Very few name brands on that leaderboard.
Yeah. Some social media chirping like that, some rivalry. I agree, Chris, would be really cool. That being said, if you look at the numbers, LIV Mexico versus the Zurich, I think it was 15 times the viewership. So
it doesn't count the app, though. It doesn't count the app.
Taylor Gooch wasn't playing.
Millions are watching.
There's an asterisk. You gotta make sure to look out for those exceptions. But it just still shows the dominance, right, of even these off-week events over anything else that's out there.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, like, to kind of both of your point, my dream would be to have a situation where they do 4 of these a year. It's the same partners, and you do, like you said, build some stakes around that, but you also get to follow the teams. Because I was shocked I kind of started liking TGLs a bit, but I was shocked by how much I enjoyed it without the stakes, just because you kind of started to like feel the teams, and they each had their own little culture. And even though it's like a joke that we're talking about Chris, celebrating in downtown Atlanta after Atlanta GC won, like, you can't start with no history and have it immediately. You have to build it. But I think there just needs to be a lot more intentionality on how people can care about it. Because I think one thing that LIV is interesting is that it's team golf, and I think that's why I check it out. But I would like to see more team golf integrated into the PGA Tour. Okay, before we run off this, I do want to talk about Andrew Novak. He does have a football betting podcast, which I found out about this week. That's pretty awesome. It's called the Screenplay Podcast. No free ads, but I've never listened to it. I can't recommend it. But I did find that he made some picks for the NFL draft. He took 15.5, the over on 15.5 offensive players drafted in the first round. He hit that, which is good. He took the over on 2.5 QBs. He missed that, but I think everyone thought Shedeur was going to be drafted in the first round. Maybe not ball knowers, but I think most of the media and most of the population thought. He took under 2.5 running backs. That hit. And he took the under on 3.5 wide receivers. I'm going to give him a push for this. I don't know actually how the bet settled, but there were, if you count Travis Hunter as a half of a wide receiver, then it'd be 3.5. If you count him as a whole wide receiver, even though he's going to play both ways, it would be the over, not the under. So pretty solid hit rate. You got to give him at least 2 of those 4, maybe 2.5 of those 4. I don't think that's bad for someone who's a professional golfer and obviously has other things on his mind. So let's talk about quickly the Chevron. Just absolutely. Go.
I first want to say,
please.
Greg,
I didn't know how deep we were going to go into.
I am very surprised that you did not know about this. Like it seems.
I had no idea.
It seems right in your sweet spot. PGA golfer talking about football. It's like.
I'm the Venn diagram.
Yeah. You are the target audience for that. So the fact that he hadn't reached you before may be a bad sign for his distribution.
Sure. It's always the biggest problem with the product. I would love to have known about this earlier, but I'm excited that I get to dive in now. Let's talk about Chevron. Just absolute heartbreak and tragedy in the end. We don't have to spend too much time on this, but I just wanted to mention it. It was an LPGA major this week. So if you're just loving major golf, then why not tune into the Chevron? Aria Jutnanagarn was just like really tough situation. She was up by 1. It's a major championship on the 18th. She hit her approach shot long and then just literally duffed a chip. Like something that, a one of us type moment. She was rushing. There were pace of play issues. They were on the clock. I think that was in her head. But all she really had to do was to get that on. And instead she duffed it. And then she left her next chip really long, left herself a really long putt, missed the putt, went to playoff, and then lost to Mao Sigo. So shout out to Mao Sigo. But I guess my question to y'all is like, what's the worst shot you've ever hit? Do you have a memory of just like the worst. Like, let's make Aria feel kind of welcome in the one of us situation, and let's all share a moment where we hit a really bad shot.
Just one.
Yeah, I've
Yeah, just one.
got
Just
plenty.
one. Which is the best? Which is the best bad shot?
The best bad shot I ever hit was, I think, like a 5-footer on the 18th in front of the crowd at the Ryder Cup to miss and lose to Rasmus. Shout out Rasmus. Definitely the highest stakes putt of my entire
Sure.
golf career in front of a crowd. And yeah, just not a hard putt, just roried it. So definitely the pace of play issues there. It's intense, but shout out to Mausigo, actually playing with Links member Big Bucks at the Pro-Am today. So he's with the champ. But yeah, Chris, what's your...
It's all connected.
It's all working together.
I honestly, there's too many bad shots. I can't isolate just one. There's too many to choose from. I've got a little recency bias. I had a really great cold shank into some water last week, so that's what's top of mind. But there's just so many to count. I can't pick just one.
Fair. Yeah, mine's recency too. I was playing the Keep in Macklemore. I was even on the front 9, which is the first time I've ever done that. And then I ate a chicken salad sandwich, stood up on the 10th tee, and hosel rocketed my driver. Like, I hadn't missed the center of the club face in the first 9. I should have even probably shot lower, arguably. I was on fire. And literally like hit the shaft with my driver and proceeded to go 8 over on the back and turned in a very pedestrian round. So everyone hits bad shots. Golf is not a game of perfect. It's about minimizing the bad shots. But yeah, she'll be back. Tough scene, but excited to see where she goes from here. Let's touch on the CK Cup. Byron Nelson, just a mouthful here in a little bit. It's played at TPC Craig Ranch, which is right side of Dallas. Either of you played that course? Know anything about it?
I've not. I mean, all I really know about it and seeing it on TV every year is, it is a kind of up the middle TPC course, I think is the assessment of it.
Yeah.
Big kind of standard,
shots fired.
Standard, not shots fired, but it's a standard PGA Tour course. You look on Data Golf, kind of the course fit graph, it like traces the outline of the PGA Tour average course. It's standard. But that can lead to good viewing week in, week out. But I don't know that there's too much that stands out about the course itself.
Fair. Yeah, I mean, to your point about course fit, Scotty is the overwhelming favorite across all betting markets as well as DG right now.
But top saw 5 it was like 20% win odds on wherever I was looking earlier. That's wild. Yeah, that's.
I think he was even higher yesterday on DG, like Data Golf. I think he was
crazy.
Like 25.
That's really crazy.
I mean, it's for a straightforward course where you just have to strike the ball well and hopefully putt well. He should win. We'll see. I mean, Spieth, Sungjae Im, Byung Hun An, and Taylor Pendrith are all rounding out the top 5. So there's some good names on the board we didn't have last week. It's kind of back to a return for seeing great players on a golf course. So we'll see how that goes. But I guess either of you, either commentary on the event or what's the best golf course you've ever played in Texas. Those are kind of the 2 connection points I can make to this.
I'll do just quickly on the event or just kind of a meta storyline. I kind of feel like, so Scotty, has 20% win odds according to, Data Golf for the betting markets or whatever, but it kind of feels like he hasn't done much recently, actually, which is weird to say, but I don't know. It feels like that's a little bit of a lingering storyline going into the PGA and, getting further through the year. Like a year ago or 2 years ago, he literally won everything like up to this point in the year, and so, see him without a win or, without being like at the top at the Masters. I mean, he still played well, right? You can't really say he's playing badly. But it definitely feels like he is not the dominant Scotty that we've seen over the past couple of years. And then obviously Rory's kind of elevated himself into the picture. Xander elevated himself last year, winning 2 majors. So I think that's pretty interesting, and it will be fun to watch as we go through the rest of the majors. Like, does he come back into form and kind of take things? Does he subside a little more and someone else takes the reins, whether that's Rory or Xander or somebody else.
So $1,000 Links coin bet on the line. Does he win another major in his career? Or how about this? Over under 1.5 majors in his career that aren't the Masters.
For Scotty. Ooh. Yeah, the that aren't the Masters clause at the end makes it interesting for sure.
Yeah, he could win 20 Masters, but do you think he wins a US Open, an Open, or a PGA Championship?
That's a great question to pose. Because like on the one hand, if you could easily say like 1.5 for the best player in the world is like the most dominant golfer we've seen in since Tiger. Yeah. Like it seems, of course he's going to win more. But then he also has not won one yet. So that's a wild dichotomy to think about. I don't know, Coop, where do you land on that?
I don't think he's going to get any worse at golf. He's still pretty young. And for 1,000, I'm taking the over on that. I mean, we've got some really interesting US Open venues coming down the pipe. I think a couple that fit his style, at least in the next 10 years. And we saw Tiger win in 2019, right? I mean, that was the Masters, right? Which is the caveat here. But I do think he'll outperform the field just on raw skill at some point twice at those other events. But it's not. I wouldn't take over 2, right? I think that's a really, really narrow band there. But cool. He's just got the raw power, and he's gonna be home in Texas this week, so bullish on that.
Yeah, PGA Championship's coming up at Frisco, a couple years, so that could be a fit for him. I think Oakmont sets up pretty well for him. I mean, Quail Hollow sets up well for everyone, so that's kind of an equalizer, and we'd love to see a Rory. I've already talked myself into the Grand Slam for Rory, so the good news is we'll know pretty soon. Let's talk about President's Cup. I know there's a lot of President Cup heads out there. Brent Snedeker was named the U.S. captain this week. I actually missed this. Chris added it to the logs. They're playing at Medina number 3, which is going to be awesome to watch. Jeff Ogilvy was named the international captain. I guess my question is, what would have to happen for the U.S. to lose? Like, this can be like an act of God. It could be whatever. But like, it's hard to get like, unlike with Keegan, like I have a lot of questions and thinking about it for the Ryder Cup because I am genuinely worried that U.S. is going to lose at Bethpage this year. But like, under what circumstances would the U.S. lose, and does the captain even matter? Could you throw out my niece and they'd still win, or like what do y'all think?
I think I saw a quote from Snedeker this week that was basically saying that last year the President's Cup was a lot closer than it looked. I think it was like a 7-point differential at the end or something. But like his point of view was there were points on Sunday that it was very much in doubt, and like it was a lot closer than the final score said. So I think from that point of view, maybe it is a much more realistic outcome than you would say. I mean, the narrative is very much like, the U.S. wins every year, it's less interesting and all that. But I don't know. I mean, it all comes down, I think, a lot of it to players, who's healthy. There's a lot of time. There's a year and a half. That's a lot of golf to play. Before then, some new young guys can really step up on either side between now and then. So, it's a little hard to call at this point. But we would love to see it be closer, just to, be more competitive every year. Nothing else.
Yep. Yeah, maybe with the geopolitics with Canada now, it only like ratchets up. They're really going to want it.
You put tariffs on golf scores, depending on where it's played.
But the implications of Canada becoming the 51st state really put the President's Cup at jeopardy. I don't think anyone's really covering that, and they should.
I wonder if that was a part of the campaign recently for their elections, if anybody was talking about the President's Cup. I didn't catch any of those debates or campaign speeches, but definitely interesting to see
Polymarket called
how
it.
That plays out. The Futarchy is a pretty good system. Usually right. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see how it breaks down. But excited for Snedeker to pull it out.
Cool. Yeah, I'm afraid that we're in like a Minority Report situation where Polymarket is just going to dictate like the final destination of all of us rather than our own free will. But that's a different podcast. Let's talk about Sportico, which recently just reported that LIV Golf was in advanced talks with the official world golf ranking. Famously, LIV does events do not count towards that. So you'll notice I'm not looking at it in front of me, but John Rahm is like the 5,000th player. I know he's not that low, but he's like, it does matter at some point, I think, for these guys who are very competitive. So, Chris, you added this one too. Did you have any thoughts you want to talk about with OWGR?
I saw the headline and added it just because it's something that is newsworthy. That said, I mean, at least personally, I don't know if you guys feel this way, but I kind of have it. It's hard to get too either worked up or have a strong opinion about any of these because it's just hard to keep track. There's been so many headlines over the past 2 years, not just on the OWGR stuff, but the PGA merger, just all the different developments, getting into majors, getting world ranking points, all these things. It's like I've kind of lost the thread, and therefore it's hard for me to make sense of like what actually is important, what's not. Is something going to happen? Is it not? I don't know. Like, Is it even worth speculating? I don't know. It's maybe a little bit of a downer take, but that is my general like sentiment of just all of that related stuff. It's like, let's just get players in majors and see them battle it out and watch some fun golf. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do either of you have a different viewpoint on that? Do you think this really matters?
We were talking about the politics level of golf. I remember Donald Trump said that he was involved in the talks with LIV and the PGA to get everything kind of resolved, and we haven't seen any moves in that.
I mean, Tiger and Adam Scott were at the White House it was like a month ago or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, the first 100 days are over, and we don't have a resolution. Is all I'm saying. I think we have to see how this keeps playing out. I really want. I know for the pros, for the golfers involved, right? They want to be playing together. They want the best fields. They want the most competition across the board, and I would just think that's what the fans want too. So I'd like to see that happen. However, we can get that over the board. Call your congressmen, senators, right? I think this is top priority for us here in the world of golf.
I think like the only reason it matters to me is if it's a step towards the resolution. If it's not a step towards the resolution, then I don't really care. But like I'm with Coop. I want to see it resolved. All right. Most important part of the episode, NCAA selection show is tonight. Let's continue this bit into this week. We are very excited about Georgia Tech. We decided last week that we were going to become Georgia Tech fans. Shout out to the Yellow Jackets. So let's rally around our boys. I'm going to say last week was kind of bleak. I don't know if you were following along.
I'm feeling a little bad about my pick.
Yeah, we blindly followed Chris. He made such a good argument for Georgia Tech, and then immediately afterwards they wandered into the ACC championship, just completely lost. They played at the club at Old Stone, which is in Bowling Green, really close to Nashville. It's site of one of my favorite golf courses in the U.S., which is Park Mammoth. It was actually started by a former member at Old Stone. Old Stone is a really cool club, and it's a pretty good golf course, but they just absolutely got demolished by pretty much everyone who was there. I think they were pulling like little kids off the gallery, and they were hitting shots that Georgia Tech wasn't. They shot a bunch over par, and they lost 0-3 to Virginia Tech in the quarterfinal match. So they didn't even make it through their first match. So it's gonna start hard, but like a phoenix rising from the ashes. I think we're excited to see what region they're gonna be placed in. I think that matters a lot. Course fit's gonna matter. Who the matchups are is gonna matter. So next week we'll check in to see kind of where they're playing. But things start on May 12th, so they have some practice time. They can get back down to Atlanta and really grind. So I guess number one, like, how are we feeling about our boys? Number two, even Chris, if you give us one tidbit about Georgia Tech to get us even more excited, I think we can continue this on through the championship.
Yeah, May Madness kicking off.
Yeah, you go ahead, Coop. You go ahead.
I mean, that's my take. I mean, what would we do without a little bit of drama, some downturn to kick us off here? I think that we gotta stay tuned, see how the matchups play out for May Madness. Yep. But I'm looking forward to hearing more, any good news at all from Chris on our pick here.
Yeah, definitely feeling bad about the pick, but they're just peaking at the right time. They know how to peak at the right time. They get a little extra rest out of it. Just gear up for when it really matters. So that's what I'm banking on right now, and let's hope it actually comes true. Here's some tidbits about Georgia Tech Golf, or just, like alumni of Georgia Tech Golf, which people probably don't know. I mean, most recently, like Matt Kuchar and Stuart Sink, both Georgia Tech alumni. David
Good
Duval,
pedigree.
which was, at least in my formative golf years, it was fun to have him out there, the #1 world ranking, and all that good stuff. And then Bobby Jones. That's the other big one. Georgia Tech alumni, needs no introduction, but we need the Yellow Jackets to channel some Jones this upcoming week or 2 weeks from now. That's for sure.
Let's do it. Yeah. So we'll do our Made Madness selections next week. We'll talk about those. We'll know exactly what the bracket looks like tonight. Excited to tune in for that. And yeah, maybe we need to get some NIL money going. We might need to, just see what we can do for the boys, depending on how they fare. But I'm still confident. Let's move over and talk a little bit about the world of golf internet here. There's a couple stories. One, I wanted to have this debate. I mentioned this earlier. Everyone was talking this week about who would win in a battle, one gorilla versus 100 people. And there was tons of discourse around this. So I think it's really important to bring that into the golf world. And so here's the stakes, and I want the two of you to argue. You can take both sides. On the same side, I'll take the other, or you can take opposite sides. Doesn't matter. But ultimately, one gorilla, not a special gorilla, just like a regular gorilla. Let's assume the gorilla is motivated, and let's assume the gorilla understands what golf is, right? It knows it needs to get the ball in the hole in as few strokes as possible without cheating, okay? Could one gorilla shoot a lower score on an 18-hole golf course, let's just say average, like 72 rating, 113 slope? Could that gorilla shoot a lower score than the cumulative score of 110 handicaps?
Could a gorilla shoot an 800, basically, is the question, like an 820 on a 18-hole golf course?
Well, I mean, 8,000, right? Probably like the number for a 10 handicap, if you you could model all this out, but let's say they would shoot between 8,000 and 8,500. Could a gorilla get the ball in the hole in 18 holes in fewer than 8,500 strokes?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
A lot.
Coop is bullish on the gorilla golf game.
Yeah, I have no doubt. I mean, they can sign language. They can whack a golf ball. You could just one putter get it around. I mean, I think I'm on Team Gorilla.
What if it gets the ball in a sand trap? Like what? Like is it how it's not getting the ball in the air? You said this we talked about this on Twitter. Like it's not getting the ball in the air, so it's gonna have to like punch down the fairway. What's its emotional state going to be like? Like, we know it understands the game, but like, has it read golf as a game of perfect? Is it working with Bob Rotella? No, like it has no understanding of how to moderate its emotions.
I don't think the golf course is going to be in great shape when the gorilla's done. It's going to smash up, going to get frustrated, going to smash up a green or two.
Yeah, group behind is going to be pissed.
Be frustrated. Definitely going to leave a couple of ball marks, right?
I think the big question is, are there any forced carries? Are there any big, kind of infinite loop situations that they could really throw it out of whack? Because I'm kind of with you, Coop. Like playing vanilla course with none of that. Yeah, I could shoot 8,000, probably much better than 8,000. But like you said, if it's stuck in a sand trap, has a 150-yard forced carry. Yeah, if there's lots of gorse.
Yeah, Spey Bay. I think wins at Spey Bay. The Blue Monster. Maybe not. A lot of water, forced carries, right? Like it's much harder. Although pot bunkers, like you said, Greg, I think loft is the main problem.
I think it's gonna putt at least 100 times on every green, right? I just don't think it has the dexterity to get the ball in the hole. I think it's gonna I don't know. I'm not as confident. I would love to see this play out. Like one of my favorite things about the 100 versus gorilla fight situation is there are people like animating models around stuff, and there were like actual primate experts who dove in. Maybe we should get Lou Stagner on this. Maybe Coop, we can not mention him and just see, what do the statistics say, right? But I'm not as confident as I've thought about this way too much. But I'm glad we had the conversation anyway.
I just looked up.
Another thing here.
I just had to look up whether gorillas have opposable thumbs. Exactly how I expected my day to go today.
Primate? Yeah.
We need Jane Goodall to consult for the next PGA 2K game, and then we can really get a good simulation going on.
Isn't she dead?
Downer.
Damn.
All
On
right,
to the next
Jane
topic.
Goodall. I don't know if she is. I don't know. All right, next topic. So this I think was recycled content from previous years. This was the first time I'd seen it. Somebody posted on Reddit. They basically took they didn't steal grass necessarily from Augusta. Like they didn't take a shovel and they didn't dig the grass out, but a player had hit a divot that had entered into the gallery, and they took that divot home and then they planted it at home so that they can grow Augusta grass. So I guess, where do y'all stand on this? Was this thievery or not? Was this morally correct or not? And then two, what's a souvenir that you'd risk a lifetime ban for to get from any venue?
I don't think it's thievery. I mean, I say once it's separated from the ground, it's fair game. It's like picking up a piece of pine straw or something. And I say kudos to the guy or gal that was enterprising enough to do it. Kind of fun. I'm actually kind of surprised they don't sell them in the merchandise center already, personally.
What would you pay? What would you pay for seeds, like a starter sapling that you could plant at home? What would you pay?
I would not personally pay too much. My yard situation, maybe not the best one out there, but I'm sure there's a lot of people that would pay a decent sum of money to get that going. And there's the grass in their backyard.
They're buying gnomes. They're buying gnomes.
Yeah, exactly.
Coop, what's something that you would want to steal from a sports venue? It could be any sport.
Boy, I think I missed my opportunity on this, but like a seat from the old Yankee Stadium, I think I would do a lot for one of those. Big fan of the house that Ruth built. Boy, for anything, I mean, stealing a club or a ball from Tiger Woods, I mean, would be probably pretty sweet. I remember there was that set that Links members were talking about of like Tiger Woods clubs. I think it ended up being fake, of his
It was
set of his
fake.
irons that were up for sale. I mean, there's some really cool memorabilia out there. Most of it is now older or past, it's been collected and bought and sold a bunch of times. Mickey Mantle stuff. The jersey, I saw Babe Ruth's jersey that he did the called shot in. I mean, there's some really cool stuff out there. In real time, I mean, boy, I don't know, a Venus Williams tennis racket. Like like Serena. I don't know. There's some cool options. Greg, what's your pick? What are you risking to get your hands on?
Yeah, I love Atlanta's stadium, mostly just because the concession situation is really great, and they have some of those Coke remix machines. So it's a little bit of a zig or a zag, but I would steal one of the Coke remix machines and put it in my house. If you never use one of these things, digital interface, tap whatever combination of things you want. You can just, like, we called them suicides as a kid, but you can mix a bunch of stuff, create a cherry Diet Dr. Pepper. I'd put one of those in my house. It comes out at exactly the right temperature. Little known fact, never put ice in a vending machine because it's already cool and it just is a way to get less soda. So I'd have one of those in my house. I would go downstairs between meetings and just fill up a cup and drink Coke Remix. All right, so Pinehurst Resort's closing number 4 from May 19th to August 7th to resurface the greens. A lot of people were complaining about this online. I'll take the shout out to Pinehurst for doing this because a lot of people were starting to complain about it. The greens looked really rough. It was probably outside of their control. A similar thing happened at Sweetens last year, and they made the same tough decision where they're just like, look, we're going to shut down. We're going to refund everyone. We're going to make everyone whole. We're going to communicate very effectively, but it's unacceptable. The greens are this way, and we can't get them back without shutting it down and doing a bunch of work. So I don't know what's said to be here. I just wanted to kind of shout out the resort for doing this. They're going to be losing a significant amount of money, but I think it's the right decision for golfers, and it's the right decision for the course long term. But any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I had a similar reaction. I think it's, a good call on their part, and it's better to close down and fix and issue people, refunds or let them reschedule or whatever, rather than, every golfer knows the feeling of showing up and then you're paying a full greens fee for punch greens or whatever. You don't want that situation. And I mean, it's one of those things that kind of, like you said, it happened at Sweetens. It kind of happens to the best of them. It's some of these situations. It was a little surprising that we were just talking about them last week. They have a ton of courses there. Obviously they played the, US Open right next door last year. So it's kind of wild that it can happen in kind of an isolated scenario, just one course. I don't know the full background there, kind of what else they had going on specifically on the number 4 greens that maybe led to it. But yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things that you kind of have to bite the bullet and do. So kudos on them for fishing it, and hopefully they get it back in order ASAP. And I saw some of our Links members have some trips like late August, so hopefully they fix it quick.
Yeah, that'll be good. I mean, you got to do what you got to do, make the course playable and in good shape. The trade-off, can you do winter greens? You play the courses and then you set up like, alternate green sites or things like that with the property. At least let people out there and keep some revenue going. I mean, I don't think Pinehurst necessarily needs the money. They'd rather, have the full experience, and nobody really wants to play a bad one.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, somebody who gets mad at my home course for punching the greens, you got to do what you got to do to keep the course in good shape.
Yeah, they're playing from a position of strength, to your point. Like Pinehurst, it's obviously a loss of revenue, but they have 10, soon to be 11 courses, and more than enough demand. In fact, they continue to be able to raise prices for people to play it. So, all right, so let's do a little bit on what we're doing. We tested a stream yesterday on PGA 2K25. Coop, any early thoughts on the game? What's better or worse than the previous version? Just a check-in for all the gamers out there.
Yeah, graphics are massively improved. The swing mechanics are a little bit different, a little bit tougher. If you were watching the stream, I struggled a little bit with.
You were bad.
Yeah, a little rusty.
Let's just call it what it is. You were bad.
Yeah.
I expected a lot more from you.
Listen, if the trade-off is my real life handicap goes down and my video game handicap goes up, that's a trade I'm willing to make all day. But I do think that there's a lot of good play styles. I know there's a lot of cool online stuff that I'm excited to work on with the Links community. Our good friend of the pod, Jay Gelsinger, is porting over the 1907 Spey Bay routing to 2K25 over the next month or so. So we're really excited to have that in there. And then as the renovations continue out at our course in Scotland, we'll have the new version loaded into play as well. Really looking forward to that. And then, we got to get some LiDAR data once the designs or renovation is complete at Hillcrest in Kansas City. But would really love to have that one playable in the game as well. But yeah, the mechanics, the graphics, all greatly improved. Highly recommend 2K25 if you haven't been out there. And if you want to play, pop in the Discord. We have a little gaming committee. There's some folks who are playing some matches. Love to get that going. Wager some Links coin. It's a good time. Best golf video game out there, I think.
Yeah, it is incredibly fun to play Spey Bay. I don't have 25 yet, and I probably won't buy it until we have Spey Bay, honestly, because I don't play anything else on it. But just like I got 20 minutes to kill, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to play Spey Bay on a video game, is awesome. So check that out. All right, let's talk about then just kind of last segment here. I think we owe each other, we owe our families, and we owe the listeners an update on our Q1 goal, or I guess a Q1 update on our 2025 goals. We did a podcast back in January. We set those goals, so let's hold each other accountable here. Chris, I've listed out the goals that you sort of said to the public that you were going to complete. Just give us a progress update on where we are, what's going well, what's not going well, what are you doing about it?
I'll do a very quick run through so they don't take up too much time. But basically, hitting very well on a lot of them and failing miserably at a few of it. Work out 4 times a week, doing pretty well on that, minus some, vacation weeks and some family being sick, kids being sick weeks. But all in all, doing very well. I think I'm probably hitting like 80% or something on that one. So feeling good about that one. Less than 30 minutes of social media screen time, failing miserably. Partially work related, so I can blame it on that a little bit. But definitely not hitting that one so far this year. Volunteered 2 times this year. I mean, I guess I'm on pace. I have not volunteered anywhere yet, though. But still need to get some planning going. So maybe a little behind, but can still make that one work. Handicap down to 5. I mean, we're just getting started, at least personally, right? I kind of didn't get to play any legit rounds of golf the first few months of the year, but getting back into it. First few rounds are not going to help me get down to 5, but it's early. It's still early. Got a long time to go. So Hopefully get that going in the right direction soon. And then my last two were play 5 new top courses, kind of top to me that I wanted to play, and then play with 10 new Links members. And then I think I'm going to hit those out of the park this year, just looking at signature events, Spay Bay events, some community-led ones we got going. I think I'm going to hit those with room to spare, but still have to get going on that. Haven't actually checked off any of those boxes yet. So all in all, feeling pretty good. But Kuba, how about you? You've got some good goals in there too.
Well, I'd love to hear that. Yeah, I had 1,000 pounds combined squat, deadlift, bench, and overhead press. I haven't done a new baseline. I was just around 800 pounds when I did that in January. I am getting, my numbers are going up, right? But I haven't gone for a single rep max yet. And I also don't think I will test that before doing 100 holes at the summer solstice because I don't want to risk injury. I'm already a little bit hurting from softball, so I don't want to, blow a knee or something like that and not be able to participate in that. So I'll check in on some updated numbers mid to late June for you on that one. Completely failed to take profits in crypto. That was one that I should have, when I said that on our podcast, should have immediately withdrawn everything. That would have been, I think it maybe marked the Pico top of the crypto market. For sure. Said that. So cool top indicator there. We hopefully we'll get back up at some point. Not married yet, haven't bought a house yet, but working on both. We'll keep that
going. Those are longer lead time items, You
got to plan and do all that stuff. And then, yeah, again, like you, Chris, this winter was a little bit rough here in the Northeast for getting out and playing golf. So I'm probably behind pace on 100 rounds to Argos or Gin. But for my break 80 20 times goal, I'm outpacing that. I've got a couple of 78s and 79s on the card, and my index has dropped down from an 11.9 to an 8 flat now. So I'm coming after you guys in the single digit territory. So that's going all right.
Congrats.
And then, yeah, we're right now posting more golf content. So trying to get that out and boost that up. Need to do some more of that personally. But on course is the best place for that. So working on that stuff.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. So mine, I've only ran 46 out of my 500 miles this year. Not great. Bit off a little bit more than I could chew there. We'll see how that goes. I also obviously look at my goals every week and just don't change my behavior around it. But of the 500 GitHub commits that I said I would do, I've already done 278, so I'm exceeding there. I also have completed 12 of 60 lessons on Pimsleur because I'm trying to learn Mandarin. So I could be doing better there, but I am technically ahead of pace. I think that 60 goal was a little low, and it's letting me cheat a bit. My handicap's down from a 7.8 to a 7.2, trying to get to a 5. Want to break 75 twice, have not done that yet. I want to break 90 12 times with my vintage clubs at around 6,000 yards. Have not done that yet. Haven't played a round of vintage golf since December because I'm so focused on the modern golf stuff. I want to play 5 courses on my wish list and punch list. I've already played one, which was the Keep in Macklemore. I was really excited about that course. It was fantastic. So I'm 1/5 of the way there. And then I have Country Club Buffalo, Prairie Dunes, Lookout Mountain booked. And then hopefully Tree Farm, depending on how that goes to the end of the year. So I'm looking pretty good. I mean, the one that's just massively off is the running. I just am not running that much. I'm choosing to work out instead and doing speed training for golf. But I could probably stand to get some cardiovascular health. So thanks for doing that. I think it's good. Let's check in a couple of months, see where we are. But we're not going to forget about it. We're all going to see where we are. We're trying to make each other better. So yeah, let's get out of here. Behalf of Cooper and Chris, I want to thank everyone for listening and watching today. It was the first time we did a live stream, so give us some feedback on that to all the listeners. We really want your feedback on how this is going. Obviously, it's not like we're putting hours into this, as you can probably tell by watching it, but our goal is to make this something that you really enjoy and something that you get a lot out of, and whether that's stuff about the club, stuff about golf, it's just kind of a benefit to you, but also something that other people can listen to that you can share so that they can learn more about joining our club. So let us know that feedback in Discord, put in YouTube comments, good or bad, topics, room for improvement, or just guests that you'd like to hear. We have some cool guests coming up. And then don't forget to follow and subscribe You'll be notified every time we post. Lots of exciting stuff coming on YouTube, especially. So I would definitely subscribe on YouTube. We have some content series coming out on Hillcrest and Spey and some other travel golf stuff, and like super excited about all of that. So if you subscribe on YouTube, you'll get a push notification when we go live on something. You can see it. But also we're available anywhere you get podcasts. You can see it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, especially. So yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks Cooper and Chris for taking the time, and we will see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in, y'all. See you.
Yeah.